Welcome to our channel, where every penny tells a story. Here, we dive deep into the world of Lincoln Penny's 1-cent coins with history, rarity, and value. From common circulation coins to rare error finds, we explore their designs, mint marks, conditions, and real auction values. Whether you're a beginner, a collector, or just curious about the pennies in your pocket, this channel is your guide to discovering the hidden secrets and surprises behind Lincoln pennies. Subscribe now and join us as we uncover the fascinating world of 1-cent coins. First coin. The 1974 Lincoln penny with a D mint mark, and we're focusing especially on what it really means when someone says an extra fine circulated example could be worth an enormous sum, like $300,000. If you've seen videos or listings claiming huge values for 1974 D pennies, then this video will help you separate the hype from the real collector market. The 1974 Lincoln penny was struck by the United States Mint in huge numbers at several facilities, including the Denver Mint, where the D mint mark was added under the date to show where it came from. In 1974 alone, the Denver Mint produced over 4.2 billion of these copper 1-cent coins, which makes them extremely common to find today, even in older collections or jars of coins people have saved over the years. At first glance, a 1974 D penny looks just like any other Lincoln cent from the era. Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the obverse, the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, and the familiar smooth edge we all know from U.S. pennies. Because so many were made, most of these coins that were used in everyday transactions back then still survive today. That means collectors and dealers treat them as very common coins, except in unusually high grade or in the case of special errors in terms of basic market value for a 1974 D penny that's been in circulation, even if it's in extra fine condition, meaning it still has crisp details with only moderate wear. Its typical value is extremely modest. Most circulated examples are worth close to their face value, or just a few cents above that to reflect their copper content and collector interest. Guides that track real coin prices show that circulated 1974 D Lincoln cents rarely trade for more than a few cents to a few dollars, depending on eye appeal and condition. Now, let's address why you might see claims of huge values floating around online. There are videos and listings, even some that seem convincing, that attach price tags like $300,000 to 1974 D pennies. But when you look at actual auction results and verified sales from reputable coin dealers and grading services, you find that these claims are simply not supported by the broader market. For example, in extra high mint state grades like MS67, certified examples of 1974 D Lincoln cents have sold at auction for amounts generally under $300 to a few $100s, not hundreds of thousands. One recorded sale in a high grade came in around the $200 range, and another hit around $950, but these were very high-graded mint state coins, not circulated extra fine pieces. To see a price tag in the six-figure range for a 1974 D penny would require something extremely unusual, such as a documented error coin of major significance or a very rare variety that experts recognize as truly scarce. For example, the much more famous and valuable 1974 aluminum penny, an experimental trial piece that was never officially released, has brought huge sums and is known in numismatic circles as a major rarity. But that aluminum variety is illegal to own and not the same thing as a regular copper 1974 D penny. There are other errors, like off-center strikes, double dies, or coins struck on incorrect planchets, that can command higher prices than normal circulation pieces, but even these typically fetch hundreds to low thousands of dollars in the best documented auction results. They do not approach the six-figure realm that some sensationalized online content might suggest. So if you have a 1974 D Lincoln penny in what appears to be extra fine circulated condition, what should you realistically expect in terms of value? The honest answer, based on actual market pricing from coin guides and sales data, is that it's most likely worth more as a piece of history and a fun collectible than as a jackpot ticket. In circulated grades, even attractive examples typically don't exceed a few dollars, and even finely struck mint state specimens, which are rare, have historically sold for values well below $1,000 in most cases. If you're curious about whether your coin could be worth more than average, the best step is to have it evaluated by a professional grading service such as PCGS or NGC. These services can authenticate the coin, assess its exact grade, and help you compare it to documented auction results. But keep in mind, even the best possible grade for a 1974 D penny generally translates into collector interest and modest premiums, not unbelievable price tags. The real excitement in penny collecting comes not from expecting huge payouts on everyday coins, but from discovering unusual varieties, understanding mint history, and building a deeper appreciation for the art and science of numismatics. While it's always thrilling to imagine finding a rare treasure in your pocket change, the factual market, backed by real sales and auction data, tells us what the true value of coins like the 1974 D penny really is. Next coin. The 2014 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, and specifically what collectors are willing to pay for one in circulated extra fine condition. You may have seen videos or listings claiming wild values like $350,000 for modern pennies, and you're probably wondering if that could be real. In this video, we're going to break down exactly what this coin is, how the market values it today, and why huge price claims deserve a closer look before you believe them. First, let's clarify what we mean by a 2014 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. In the United States, pennies struck at the main Philadelphia Mint traditionally don't carry a mint mark. So a 2014 penny without any letter under the date tells us it was produced in Philadelphia. The coin features the familiar portrait of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, the result of a design that has been used since 1909. On the reverse, the design used for this era is the Union Shield, introduced in 2010 and meant to symbolize Lincoln's preservation of the United States. The coin is made of copper-plated zinc, weighs about 2.5 grams, and measures 19 millimeters across. The standard specifications for Lincoln cents in this series, the 2014 Lincoln penny, is a modern circulation coin, meaning it was made in large quantities for everyday use in commerce. In fact, the United States Mint produced over 2 billion Lincoln cents in 2014, which includes the ones from Philadelphia that don't carry a mint mark. When a coin is produced in such enormous numbers, it means most of them remain common today. Collectors and dealers use mintage figures like this to help understand how rare or common a coin is in the marketplace. Now let's talk about condition, specifically circulated extra fine condition. That term is used by collectors to describe coins that show wear from circulation, but still retain a lot of the design detail. On an extra fine 2014 penny, you might see some smoothing on Lincoln's cheek or shoulder, but the lettering, shield detail, and date should still be clear and distinct. Coins that are more worn might be graded fine or very fine, while coins with almost no wear might be graded uncirculated or mint state. So what does all of this mean for value in today's auction market? If we look at actual pricing guides, recent dealer sales, and collector listings, the honest market value for a 2014 Lincoln penny without a mint mark, even in extra fine condition, is very modest. Most circulated 2014 pennies sell for amounts close to face value, literally around 1 cent to a few cents above face, because so many exist and they don't have any recognized scarcity. Even extra fine examples with better eye appeal typically trade for only a few dollars at most among collectors who want complete date sets. There isn't extensive demand for this issue outside of set completion. Now you might be wondering why some videos or postings on social media attach huge values like $350,000 to coins like this. The reason is usually sensationalism or clickbait. Attaching unrealistically high price tags draws attention and views. But when you look for verified auction records or documented private sales from reputable coin auction houses, there simply aren't examples of 2014 Lincoln pennies selling for anywhere close to 6 figures. Serious collectors and dealers rely on actual sale history, and that history does not support claims of amazing sums for typical modern pennies like this. Where huge values do happen in the world of Lincoln cents is with rare die errors, major mint mistakes, or historically significant varieties, especially from much older issues. For example, errors like double dies, off-center strikes, or no mint mark varieties from early 20th century dates can sometimes bring strong premiums. But the 2014 penny without a mint mark has no widely recognized major error variety that would drive its value into the hundreds of thousands in extra fine condition. There are also coins that are sometimes struck on the wrong metal planchet, or experimental pieces that were not intended for circulation, and those can be extraordinary. But these are not the same as ordinary circulation strikes from Philadelphia in 2014. Most of the extremely valuable pennies people hear about come from older series, or proven error varieties with documented scarcity and auction results. If you think you might have a truly unusual specimen, perhaps a rare error or something that doesn't look like a normal 2014 penny, it's always worth having it examined by a reputable grading service like PCGS or NGC. These companies can authenticate the coin, assign a professional grade based on condition, and let you compare it with documented auction results for similar coins. But even with professional grading, the typical 2014 Lincoln penny with no mint mark in circulated extra fine condition would still be something that's collectible as part of a set, not an item commanding a huge six-figure value. The real value of coin collecting comes from appreciating the history, understanding minting processes, and building a personal collection that tells a story. Modern coins like the 2014 Lincoln Penny are a great introduction for new collectors because they're easy to find, easy to understand, and part of a series that spans over a century. However, when it comes to real market prices based on actual sales, modern pennies don't generally bring large returns unless there's something truly unusual about them. So if you've been curious about the 2014 Lincoln Penny with no mint mark and what it's worth in today's market, the honest answer is that in circulated extra fine condition it's modest in value, usually just a few dollars at most. Claims of huge payouts like $350,000 are not supported by verified data, and should always be checked against reputable auction records before being believed. Next coin. The 1983 Lincoln Penny with no mint mark, and we're going to talk about what it actually is, what affects its value, and what the real numbers look like in today's auction market. If you've seen videos or listings claiming eye-popping values like $500,000 for modern pennies, you're probably curious whether that could be true. In this video we're going to break it all down first. Let's make sure we understand what the 1983 Lincoln Penny is all about. In 1983, the United States Mint produced Lincoln cents in massive quantities, and pennies struck at the Philadelphia Mint that year didn't carry a mint mark, which is why they're referred to as no mint mark. What you see on the coin is the familiar President Abraham Lincoln on the front, a design that's been used since 1909, and on the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial, which was the standard reverse design from 1959 until 2008. After 2008, the design changed, but in 1983 the memorial reverse was still in place. The 1983 penny was struck as part of everyday circulation, and it's made of copper-plated zinc, with a weight of about 2.5 grams and a diameter of 19 millimeters. Millions and millions of these pennies were released into circulation, and they stayed there, in pockets, wallets, cash registers, and coin jars across the country. Because so many were made, most of these coins are easy to find today, and collectors consider them common circulation pieces. When collectors talk about condition, a coin in circulated extra fine condition means it has seen use as money, but it still retains significant detail. You'll see only light wear on Lincoln's cheek, jawline, and the lettering, with most design elements still clear and easily distinguishable. Now let's talk about value. In the coin world, the price of a coin is determined by a few key factors: rarity, demand, condition, and whether there's something unusual about the specific piece, like a mint error or an especially attractive strike. For the 1983 Lincoln Penny with no mint mark in ordinary circulated extra fine condition, the market data from collectors, dealers, and auction results tells us that the realistic value is very modest. Most examples sell in the range of just a few cents to a few dollars, sometimes up to about $5 maximum, depending on exact condition and eye appeal. There simply isn't wide collector demand for this issue that would push values into the tens or hundreds of dollars under normal circumstances. So why do you sometimes see people online claiming values like $500,000 for a 1983 Lincoln Penny with no mint mark? The short answer is that many of those claims are sensationalized or speculative and are not backed up by verified auction records or real sales data. Channels sometimes post huge suggested values as a way to draw attention, but if you look at the actual coins that have been sold at serious coin auctions, you won't find a 1983 Lincoln Penny in circulated extra fine condition that has ever brought anything close to a six-figure price tag. There are circumstances in the world of numismatics where rare error coins or unusual mint varieties do sell for significant money, sometimes even 5 figures or more, but those usually involve genuine rarity. Examples include coins struck on the wrong planchet, off-center strikes with extreme misalignment, or other dramatic errors that are verified by grading services and documented in auction records. Even in those cases, the coins are rare and the errors are dramatic, nothing like a typical circulation strike from a common issue year. If you think you might have something unusual in your 1983 Lincoln Penny, for example, something that doesn't look quite right or seems different from other pennies from that year, the best thing to do is have it professionally authenticated and graded by a service like PCGS or NGC. These organizations evaluate coins and assign them an official grade based on condition and authenticity. They also help detect and categorize errors or rare varieties, which can significantly affect value. But without that professional evaluation and without a documented auction history for such a variety, huge values like $500,000 remain unsupported by real evidence. In the real collector market, certified auction results for this type of coin, especially in circulated extra fine condition, consistently show modest prices, not six-figure windfalls. The excitement of coin collecting comes from understanding the story behind the coins, spotting interesting varieties, and appreciating the history they represent, not from unrealistic expectations about their value based on viral claims. So the honest answer about a 1983 Lincoln penny with no mint mark in circulated extra fine condition is that it's a nice piece of American numismatic history and a solid example of mid-late 20th century coinage. But in terms of market value, even in nicer circulated grades, it's generally worth only a few dollars at most based on real collector demand and verified auction sales. Claims of unbelievably high values should always be viewed with skepticism and checked against trusted pricing guides and reputable auction results. Next coin. The 2000 Lincoln penny with no mint mark in circulated extra fine condition, and we're going to separate hype from reality. If you've seen videos or listings on social media claiming values like $600,000 for modern pennies, you're probably wondering whether that could possibly be true. In this video, we're going to explain what this coin actually is, how collectors value it today, and what the real numbers look like in the current auction market. The 2000 Lincoln penny is part of the long-running Lincoln Cent series, first introduced in 1909 to honor President Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday. By the year 2000, the design had seen the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse since 1959, and the obverse carried the familiar portrait of Lincoln that millions of people recognize from pocket change. The 2000 penny was struck in large quantities for circulation, and coins produced at the Philadelphia Mint carry no mint mark under the date. That's why when we refer to a 2000 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, we're talking about a common Philadelphia strike intended for everyday use in commerce. In terms of composition, the 2000 Lincoln penny is made of copper-plated zinc, a change the U.S. Mint adopted in 1982 to reduce production costs. It weighs about 2.5 grams and measures 19 millimeters in diameter, the standard size for Lincoln cents since that composition switch. Because these coins were intended for circulation, millions and millions were released into general use, which makes most of them easy to find in coin jars, registers, and everyday change. When collectors talk about coin condition, they use specific terms like fine, very fine, and extra fine to describe how much wear a coin has experienced. An extra fine circulated coin shows light wear across the highest points of the design, but lettering, Lincoln's profile, and the memorial features are still sharp and distinct. For a 2000 penny, extra fine condition means it's been used as money but still retains pretty good detail for a coin that's now over 2 decades old. Now let's talk about value. The price of a coin in today's collector market depends on rarity, collector demand, condition, and whether there's anything unusual or rare about that specific coin. In the case of the 2000 Lincoln penny with no mint mark in circulated extra fine condition, the real market data from collector price guides, dealer listings, and auction records show something very specific. This coin is not rare in the sense that it brings huge prices at auction. Most circulated 2000 pennies, even in nice extra fine grades, typically sell for amounts only slightly above face value when sold to coin collectors, and often just a few dollars, depending on eye appeal and market demand. They are common coins, and their values tend to reflect that. So why do some online videos or listings attach eye-popping estimates like $600,000 to coins like this? The simple answer is that those figures are almost always exaggeration or clickbait. They're not based on verified sales records from reputable auction houses. Sometimes content creators or sellers will claim massive values to attract attention. Serious coin collectors and numismatists rely on actual auction results and documented sales history to assess a coin's true market value. And for the 2000 Lincoln penny without a mint mark, there is no documented evidence of any circulated extra fine example ever selling for anything close to 6 figures. There are instances in the world of Lincoln cents where rare error coins or unique varieties have brought high prices. Errors like off-center strikes, doubling, or coins struck on incorrect planchets can attract collector interest and command higher prices, sometimes significantly higher than typical circulation strikes. However, those are specific to error examples, and each must be authenticated and certified by a trusted grading service like PCGS or NGC. Even then, documented sales of error coins from modern dates like 2000 generally don't reach $500,000 values unless the error is entirely unique and historically significant, and nothing of that kind has been authenticated and sold in that range for this specific issue. If you think you might have a truly unusual 2000 Lincoln penny, maybe one that looks very different from regular examples or shows an obvious minting error, the first step is to get it professionally evaluated by a grading service. These services can authenticate the coin, determine its precise condition, and let you compare it with actual auction records for similar coins. This is how serious collectors judge value, by looking at certified examples and verified sale results rather than sensational claims. But when we stick to the facts and reliable market information, the 2000 Lincoln penny with no mint mark in circulated extra fine condition remains a coin with modest value in today's auction market. Collectors prize it for completing date sets or for its place in the long Lincoln cent series, but its typical price is in the low dollars, not hundreds of thousands. One of the joys of coin collecting is learning about the history and design behind everyday money, how coins were made, why certain years or varieties can become collectible, and how scarcity and demand influence value. While it's always exciting to imagine finding a rare treasure in pocket change, the real numismatic market is based on documented results and what people are actually willing to pay. For this coin, that means enjoying it as part of America's long-running penny series rather than expecting a sudden fortune. If you enjoyed this honest look at the 2000 Lincoln penny without a mint mark and want to learn more about coin values you might have in your pocket change or collection, make sure to like this video, subscribe for more coin insights, and leave a comment if you want help identifying and valuing your own coins. Next coin. The 2013 Lincoln penny with no mint mark in circulated extra fine condition, and we're going to talk about what this coin really is, how coin collectors value it today, and whether the eye-popping price tags you sometimes see online like $700,000 hold up in the real world. If you've ever wondered whether a modern penny can be worth huge sums of money, this video will help you understand the facts behind the stories. Let's start with what exactly the 2013 Lincoln penny is. This coin is part of the Lincoln cent series, which began in 1909 to honor President Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday. The design of the penny has changed a few times over the years, but the basic idea is the same. A portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and, for this era, the Union Shield design on the reverse. The Union Shield was introduced by the United States Mint in 2010 and represents Lincoln's role in preserving the Union. The coin is made of copper-plated zinc, which has been the standard since 1982 when the U.S. Mint switched from solid copper to a more cost-effective composition. At about 2.5 grams in weight and 19 millimeters in diameter, this is the penny most people have used in everyday transactions. Now let's talk about the no mint mark part. In 2013, pennies struck at the Philadelphia Mint did not carry a mint mark. That means when you look at a 2013 Lincoln penny and you don't see a letter under the date, it was made in Philadelphia. Millions and millions of these coins were struck by the U.S. Mint for everyday circulation, and most of them went straight into pocket change, cash registers, and coin jars across the country. Because of that high production number, these coins are very common today. Collectors describe coins in various grades based on how worn they are. When a coin is described as circulated extra fine, that means it was used in everyday commerce but still shows a good amount of detail. The high points of Lincoln's portrait may show light wear, but the lettering, shield detail, and date should still be crisp and readable. A circulated extra fine coin is better than common circulated grades like fine or very fine, but it is still not a mint state or uncirculated coin. So now let's get into the big question. What is the value of a 2013 Lincoln penny with no mint mark in circulated extra fine condition in today's auction market? If we look at real pricing guides, collector market listings, and auction results, the honest answer is that these coins are not rare in the sense that they command high values. The typical market price for a circulated 2013 Lincoln penny, even in extra fine condition, is modest. Most examples trade for amounts just above face value, often in the range of a few dollars for collectors who want nicer examples for their sets. Even in higher grades, these coins usually sell for only modest premiums compared to their everyday value. So why do you sometimes see claims online that these coins are worth huge amounts, like $700,000? The truth is that many of those claims are sensationalized or clickbait. They are pushed in online videos, social media posts, or listings to attract attention, but they are not backed by verified auction sales records or multiple documented transactions. Serious coin collectors and numismatists rely on actual sale history from reputable auction houses, coin dealers, and grading services, and there is no publicly documented example of a 2013 Lincoln penny in circulated extra fine condition selling for something close to 6 or 7 figures. There are cases in the world of coin collecting where certain coins bring high prices, but those are almost always rare errors, unique varieties, or historically significant issues. For example, coins that were struck on the wrong planchet, coins with dramatic doubling on the die, or extremely scarce early-date pennies like certain early 20th century Lincoln cents can sometimes sell for impressive sums when authenticated and graded. But those are exceptions with documented rarity and demand, and they are often decades or even a century old, not standard circulation issues from the early 21st century. If you think your 2013 Lincoln penny is unusual because it looks different from others, or if you believe it might be an error coin, the right step is to have it professionally evaluated and graded by a recognized grading service such as PCGS or NGC. They can tell you whether it's a standard strike or something truly unusual, assign it a professional grade, and help you compare it to documented auction results. That process helps collectors understand a coin's true market value based on real data. But without professional authentication and a strong record of similar coins selling at high prices, huge valuation claims remain speculative. The real value of modern Lincoln pennies like the 2013 issue, especially in circulated extra fine condition, is grounded in what the market is actually willing to pay. That market value is based on supply, demand, collector interest, and the documented sale history of comparable coins. At present, the typical prices for a circulated 2013 Lincoln penny are modest, reflecting the fact that millions were made and many survive in collections and circulation today. Understanding coin values means looking at real evidence rather than assuming that because a number is big, it must be real. Genuine numismatic value comes from scarcity, historical significance, eye appeal, and documented collector demand. While the 2013 Lincoln penny is an interesting part of the long history of United States coinage, in today's auction market its value in circulated extra fine condition remains modest, not extraordinary.